моменты научных прорывов и больших...
Шмалкер, шмалк.
Так, блядь, давайте начнем. 29 сентября началась
безобидно материться, но все равно нехорошо.
уже выставка Tokyo Game Show, где Microsoft присутствует в виде одного из участников. GSK Game World выложили пост 29 сентября, где они написали, что проведут серию бизнес-встреч на этой выставке. И никакой публичной информации показано не будет. Так что смотреть выставку, если вы интересуетесь только сталкером, смысла нет. Также в своем посте в социальной сети ВКонтакте ГСК написали, что если вы занимаетесь локализацией, дистрибуцией или продвижением видеоигр в Азии, то мы открыты к сотрудничеству и пишите нам в личные сообщения страницы. Ну а теперь перейдем к более интересным новостям. У автора канала Toasted Team в последнем ролике про Ryzen появилась рекламная интеграция игры Stalker 2, которая ведет прямиком на сайт GSK Game World. Я пообщался с автором данного канала, он рассказал, что он работает через агентство. То есть акция, в общем-то, далеко не разовая. У ГСК был какой-то массовый заказ. Помимо этого, реклама была замечена у Алексея Макаренкова на его канале на YouTube, еще у какого-то автора, простите, я уже забыл. А также реклама была замечена на Твиче, на стриме киберспортивной организации, которая занимается трансляциями, ну или матчами по CSGO, который называется CSGO Minecast. Вот такой вот рекламный ролик показывался во время проведения серии данных турниров, да и, возможно, сейчас тоже показывается.
Ну, давай, малюй картину масла.
Между аномалией и маслиной я уже лучше пулю выберу.
Ты многим сталкерам жизнь спас.
Чего-чего? А дружбы в зоне я точно не встречал.
А перед тем, как продолжить, ответь мне на один вопрос. Сколько ты готов потратить денег на новую технику? 10 тысяч, а может 20? Теперь этого не нужно. Все, что ты раньше покупал в магазинах, можно получить в 10 раз дешевле на crazybox.top. Это сайт-сюрприз с коробками, в которых находятся телефоны, компьютеры, игровые приставки. Только в отличие от обычного магазина, тот же телефон тут можно получить всего за 299 рублей с коробки смартфонов. Согласись, это лучше, чем покупать его где-либо за 30 или 50 тысяч. Коробок тут на любой вкус. Игровые, дешевые, с гаджетами, даже LN-коробки есть. А если не хочешь рисковать, открой бесплатные боксы, и первые 2 приза у тебя в кармане. Так что, если ты готов потратить пару сотен и получить действительно что-то годное, переходи по ссылке в описании и в закрепленном комменте на crazybox.top. Я также немного пообщался на данную тему с пиар-менеджером Stalker 2 Захаром Бочаровым, на что Захар ответил: привет, да, я слышал про такие планы. Ответ, конечно, я бы сказал, такой неоднозначный. Очень надеюсь, что это станет отправной точкой для начала какого-то полномасштабного пиара. Следом за этим разработчики Stalker 2 похвалили обзор Евгения Бэдкомедиана на фильм «Чернобыль» от такого вот актера и режиссера, как Данил Козловский, который был снят как наш ответ сериалу от HBO. Разработчики написали: not bad, хороший товар. Вот так бы и всегда. Пиар-компания, друзья, просто набирает обороты с каждым часом. Ну и напоследок, вспоминая ролик от такого YouTube-канала AXBT Games, где они высказывали опасения по поводу того, что Stalker 2, возможно, будет перенесен, ГСК ответили на вопрос фаната Dark Shaman: уважаемые ГСК, прошу вас опровергнуть слухи о том, что Stalker 2 переносят ввиду неготовности онного. Молю услышать правду. Они написали: опровергаем, не переносят. Буду надеяться, что это правда, и ГСК нас не обманет. И мы увидим игру ровно на ту дату, которую нам пообещали разработчики. Ну и последняя новость на сегодня. Захар Бочаров в своем сторис в Инстаграме поделился фотографией с конфетами от Дмитрия Гордона, которые, как мне подсказали, называются «Птичье молоко». Ожидать ли нам появления Дмитрия Гордона в новой части? Возможно, что Захар теперь сменил гражданство и является украинцем. И главный вопрос, чей Техас, остаются по-прежнему нераскрытыми. А я также напомню, что у меня есть второй канал, где выходят веселые видосы на различные трэш-моды на Stalker, Skyrim, Fallout и просто веселый контент. Ссылочка будет прямо в описании под видосом. Спасибо вам за просмотр. С вами был Святой Отец Антишнапс.
Здравствуйте, друзья! В этом видео я расскажу вам о новой для России системе пассивного заработка, которая вовсю практикуется в той же, например, Германии.
Охуеть, блядь, что это за дрянь? Глент. Здравствуйте, дамы и господа, с вами Антишнапс. Это какой-то...
Чё? Выбрана, да. У тебя нужно выбрать.
Hello everyone, my name is Akira. I'm a pianist, piano teacher, and a translator who's lived in 3 different countries. In my channel, I'm posting videos of my performances, topics related to and not related to music. If you haven't done so, please hit subscribe and notification buttons so you won't miss my future videos. Music is often compared to language. So today I'm going to talk about music and language, how they're similar and how they're different from a perspective of a trilingual pianist and a professional translator. Before I start, as usual, I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons on patreon.com. Now I have 10 awesome patrons who are always with me trying to make these videos more regularly. And if you're kind enough to support me for $3 or $10 per month, I'll leave a link to my Patreon page in description. Most of you already know that I lived in 3 different countries in my life, because I always say that in the beginning. But I've never shown you how fluent I am in each language. And today's topic is related to that. So I'm going to introduce myself in Japanese and Korean, just so you can see. Oh boy, this is going to take a while. 皆さんこんにちは。アメリカでピアニスト、ピアノ教師、翻訳者をやっている池上彰です。このチャンネルには演奏のビデオや音楽、翻訳者。皆さんこんにちは。アメリカでピアニスト、ピアノ教師、翻訳者をやっている池上彰です。このチャンネルには演奏のビデオや音楽に翻訳者をやっている池上彰です。このチャンネルには演奏のビデオや音楽に関するトピック、音楽とは関係ないトピックに関するビデオを載せているので、ぜひチャンネル登録お願いします。여러분 안녕하십니까? 미국에서 피아니스트, 피아노 인스트럭터, 동역자를 하고 있는 이케가미 아키라라고 합니다. 이 채널에서는 제 연주 그리고 음악에 관한 비디오하고 음악에 관해 없는 비디오를 넣고 있습니다. 채널 등록 잘 부탁합니다. Yes! Now is a good time to hit the like button. Now that you actually know I speak 3 different languages, let's talk about music and language. For me, music's not like language at all. Music is a language. A lot of things I do in music and my teaching is based on this philosophy. So I wanted to talk about this for a long time on YouTube. But first I had to establish my channel, I had to show you I can actually play and teach, then you'll actually believe me. But now that I have 10,000 subscribers, I think it's time to talk about this. Suzuki method is largely based on this concept. In this method, students won't learn how to read music until much later, but rather they listen to the teacher and imitate how she or he is playing, and develop your ears and good taste for music first. I myself went through Book 1 training for Suzuki method, and there are a lot of things I can agree on, but there are certain things I couldn't agree on, so I didn't choose to become a Suzuki teacher, and now I'm not even licensed in it. I'll talk about my opinion on this method in a future video. So how is music language? If you look at the learning process, language and music is pretty much same to me. 3 years ago, Amazon Store delivered us the new bundle Monster for us. Since then, I've been witnessing her development every day as she learns her first language. And a lot of that is really trial and error, because you see a lot of people around you talking, and it's hugely inconvenient for you not to be able to talk. The baby tries to talk, and first they start making some weird noise. And then those noise becomes a little bit like some words. The key here is that every single day is a learning moment for them. They're observing and practicing every single day. And after 3 years doing that, she can finally say some sentences that make sense. It's still not perfect, but I can understand what she's trying to say, for the most part. Does this sound something like music? I'm assuming 99.9% of you guys who are watching this video already speak at least one language fluently. And maybe 0.1% of you are probably a baby whose parents are crazy enough to show my videos to you, hoping that they'll learn music naturally. It may happen, or it may not happen. So if you think about how you learn the first language, or for people like me, second and third languages, then a lot of things about piano studies start making sense. First, you start with baby steps. You'll learn how to curve your fingers and try to make a good sound. After that, you can start reading notes and take a little bit of shortcut. Babies can't do that when they learn the first languages. My baby's unfortunately not like, "Father, I would like to learn ABCs. Could you teach me?" But she just learns whatever the most inconvenient thing I say. Like when I drop something, I say, "Oh," and she's always like, "Oh, oh, oh." But
Ну, наоборот, так это не понимаю.
because most of us start learning piano at a later stage, we can use notes to eliminate some of the trial and errors. But there's still a lot of imitation going on. In that process, what we can do as a piano teacher for you is to give you advice so you don't have to do all the trial and errors, but you can take some shortcut. We can advise you in the way you can practice most efficiently to get your goal. But a lot of development happens through everyday practice. A lot of my students are ambitious, and sometimes they ask me, "Hey, I don't feel like I'm making any progress." And I often answer, "Well, you've been studying only for 3 months. Think about how you learn the language first. I didn't learn English in 3 months, or I didn't learn piano in 3 months either. It takes a lot of time to learn music, just like it takes a lot of time to learn a language. But hopefully with the right instruction, you can learn much quicker than learning a first language." But the good news from this is anybody can learn music at any age to a certain degree. Just like anybody can learn the language at any age. You may not be a fluent native speaker, but I didn't speak language when I was a child either. The first time I came to US, I was 17 already. And I know a lot of people who came to this country much later, but I can communicate with them just fine. So even if you didn't start as a child, you can still learn music, and you can still enjoy it. But if you do start early, that is definitely an advantage, but I don't think it's a must. One thing I recommend to all the learners is to listen to music all the time. And you don't have to actively listen to your music. You can just play it in the background, and as you hear the music, your brain's observing little by little. Like I said, our baby's not listening to us actively, but rather passively, and picks up whatever she wants. So if you hear good classical music in the background, you'll start observing little by little. So let's talk about how music is not like language. I guess the biggest difference is that music is not life necessity. As you grow up, if you can't communicate with other human beings, that's going to be...
Что там такое у меня есть, что там заблокирует мне видео на дороге? Мотив из звездных каких-нибудь, да. Потому что я сам сказал такое, ну я понял просто, да. Да наоборот, понял. Идиоты, это нужно такими кретинами быть просто вообще. Ну ладно, вообще просто.
Maybe impossible to live. So that's why
Нет, это правда в том, что они хотят бабки грести. Вот ты что-нибудь сочинил, и они хотят, чтобы ты, да, ты, ну, типа того, ну, типа, чтобы бабки, чтобы ты им заработал деньги, типа того, да. Поэтому они, если ты будешь играть что-нибудь, Звездных врат там, да, он про себя так говорит, ну, вот это он имеет в виду, да, понимает он тебя просто, да, понимает он просто. Ну, это он на себя так, да. Вот, собственно, и все, а так вообще как бы фиолетово, да, наоборот. Ну, да, это он имеет. А когда ты за свое выдаешь, да, вот это он имеет в виду. Но это тоже как бы не факт, да, это типа того, да.
All learn first language, no matter what. I have never met any other person who couldn't speak any language at all in any form. But music is a little different. Even if you couldn't play music, you can still live. You can still listen and enjoy it though, but you don't necessarily have to play it yourself to sustain your life. That's why I think it's very hard for some students to motivate themselves to practice every day. I'm a firm believer that if you practice every day and listen to your teacher, you should be able to learn music to a certain degree. And this goes for everyone. But you don't have this same dire necessity as learning language. It's very hard for some students to have discipline to do that. And I myself was one of them. So that's why I understand how the students feel. But what I want people to focus on is just like anybody can learn at least one language. Anybody should be able to learn language to a certain degree if you practice every day and if you get the right advice from the teacher. I cannot guarantee that everybody is going to be the world famous pianist, but I strongly believe that anybody should be able to play the music and enjoy it. Another aspect where music is different from a language is that music does not express anything specific. You can say something very specific in a language, like I like an Apple, or I don't like Apple as a company that keeps selling me expensive electric devices and I have to keep buying because I need it for my work. But in music, what you get from certain music is totally up to you. Some music do have words, they're called songs, and you sing them to communicate certain things. But most of instrumental music don't have words to it, so interpretation is totally up to you. And that's the beauty of it. You can imagine whatever you want from the music. Music can convey certain mood like bright, dark, quick, energetic, calm, but after that, it's totally up to the listener. But if you think about it, is the language that precise all the time? For example, my wife and I always have this communication issue like all the husbands and wives in the world. When she said, do you need help making dinner? That means it's time for dinner. When she said, are you doing anything right now? That means I have a chore for you. When she said, go away, that means I love you, or maybe just go away. See? Even language can be interpreted in so many ways. That brings us back to music is a language. Alright. So that's my opinion about music and language after learning 4 languages: Japanese, English, Korean, and music. Like I said, a lot of things I do in music and teaching is based on this concept. So I just wanted everybody to know. If you keep this concept in mind, my videos may make more sense to you. The key takeaway from this video is anybody should be able to learn music if you do it in a certain way. But you're going to have to be very humble and expect a long-term learning. But if you do it every day, just like you did for learning the first language, you should be able to learn language to a level where you can really enjoy it. This is not a scientifically proven fact, but this is what I see every day in my studio, and this is what I experience in my lifetime. If you enjoyed this video, as usual, please hit the like button so YouTube will know this is a good content and start spreading to other people as well. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section. I still enjoy everybody's comments. If you still haven't done so, please hit subscribe and notification button so you won't miss my future videos. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. 皆さんこんにちは。アメリカでピアニスト、ピアノ教師、翻訳者をやっている池上彰です。このチャンネルでは演奏のビデオやトピック related ads。このチャンネルでは演奏のビデオや音楽に関するトピック、音楽とは関係ないトピックに関するビデオを載っけられた。여러분 안녕하십니까? 미국에서 피아니스트, 피아노 인스트럭터 여러분 안녕하십니까? 미국에서 피아니스트, 피아노 폭력자, 피아노 폭력자 was inside.
Наоборот, не надо, наоборот, наоборот, не, наоборот. Вот это и есть самое.
Цифровизация. Каналы коммуникаций становятся разнообразнее. Утечки происходят все чаще. Количество инцидентов увеличивается с каждым годом. Все это ставит офицера безопасности в ситуацию, когда просто DLP-системы недостаточно.
Okay, we've covered a lot of Android applications on the channel, but today we're going to come from a slightly different angle. We've got our top 10 applications, so unusual you'll be wondering what on earth the developers were thinking. Let's get right into it. Number 10 is built for the film buffs who can't control their bladder. It's got a constantly updating database of movies, even actually ones that are currently in the cinema. And the idea is simple. The application is going to tell you when it is safe to go to the bathroom. So someone has actually sat down and watched every single one of these films, documenting the times in which little or no plot action happens. 4 or 5 minutes which you could miss and still completely enjoy the film. You've probably heard of these brutal alarm clocks you can download that force you to get out of your bed in the morning in creative ways. And they force you to use extravagant methods to stop the alarm ringing, like shake your phone vigorously for 20 seconds, and it's pretty effective. Well, this one has all of that functionality, but also one key difference. If you snooze the alarm continuously, you can configure the application to send a text message to someone in your house telling them to wake you up. Number 8, you could call it a game, you could call it an app. This is Between the Lines. It's a set of very unusual puzzles, but all with the common theme of elaborate wordplay. And because of how abstract and out of the box the puzzles are, you really feel like every victory is a result of your hard work and intelligence. The next application isn't so much useful as it is genuinely hilarious. Die With Me is an online chat room that you can only access when your smartphone is on 5% battery or less. The idea being that you can find other people who are suffering a similar fate to you, and you can travel that road on your way to offline peace together. Next up, and in complete contrast, this application is a lifesaver. Instead of buying direct...
И что это такое-то? Он тебя про себя так и говорит, наоборот, так это наоборот, да нет. Что за бред вообще? Я понял просто, да. Наоборот. Сейчас, подожди секунду. Ну, наоборот, только, да, он это имеет в виду. Да, наоборот, и, ну, типа того, да. Да, наоборот. Да, наоборот, это, да. Вот она это имеет, да, ну, вот это и есть смысл, да. Типа, это она про себя так говорит, да. Ну, вот это и было самое. Да, наоборот, да. Заблокировал, говорит, я не знаю, что их там. Нет, как так это? Он про себя говорит, это то же самое. Наоборот, да, наоборот, я просто понял о себе, так говорит.
Trains from one station to another, it shows you a combination of local trains you can use to bypass the high fees. And whilst your journey will probably take longer, it's not unusual for you to find that the price has been cut in half. Number 5 is an icon pack, and upon first glance, is the complete opposite of subtle. You've got bold, bright, flat squares. However, as unconventional as it is, there is a certain type of aesthetic that it blends perfectly into. Get the right launcher, the right wallpaper, and you've got a killer setup in basically no time at all. Number 4 is a game called Heads Off, which actually pretty well describes what is going on here. You control a floating head powering through a creepy 2D platforming world, and when you hold the screen, the head will open its mouth and scream, and this is what propels you forward. Clearly, a really cheery, uplifting kind of experience. When you play, you'll unlock new heads, and every time you use those heads in a game, you'll see the story that that person led in their life. An application that I've had a pretty good time with is Fraxel, an interactive fractal art generator. You essentially use touch gestures with a single finger or two fingers to manipulate the image you see on screen. It's just one of those calming, therapeutic kind of experiences. What I did like is the social integration. You can take screenshots or even record video natively in the application and then share it to social medias. This leads us to number 2, Lock, which is a shared whiteboard lock screen, which means that when you invite people to your group on the app, they'll all share the same lock screen as you, and any contributor can edit the screen. Which means that, say for example, I wanted to remind everyone that we had a coffee meeting at 3, I could just write it on my lock screen and be rest assured that anyone else in the group will automatically see it when they turn their phone on. Alright, application number 1, which is in this place because it's not just wacky and fun, but it's also genuinely pretty useful. Zombies Run. It's got an audio track that sets the scene, and as you run, it's going to use your GPS location to see if you can outrun various different zombie hordes in a number of different scenarios. And you can set the length depending on how long you want to run, and even combine the tracks with audio from your own playlist. Alright guys, if you did enjoy the video, I've got plenty more great Android applications to show you, so I'll leave those as a card above to this video. If you're new to the channel, if you could smash that subscribe button, it would really mean a lot to me. My name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Наоборот, ну вот это и есть он сам, да, 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 вот это, да, наоборот, так, да, 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 вот это и был он сам, да, наоборот, да, вот это он про себя говорит, да, да, вот это, ну, что дальше, ну да, 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 и я здесь причем, наоборот, да, я понял, просто, наоборот, да, это он о себе и говорит просто, да, наоборот, как типа, это самое, контент украл, что ли, что, свой, что ли, ушел от него, да, он о себе так говорит, ну нет, понял, да, не понимаю, да,
Ты не часто стал париться?
А что, если искры возгорится баня?
А если?
Давно мы построим. У нас все застраховано.
Страхование квартир?
Поначалу кордон мне показался пустым. Пройдя по основным точкам, я решил направиться к переходу на свалку. Однако у меня ничего не получилось. Меня переместило на середину локации. Далее со мной на связь вышли сталкеры, которые рассказали...
Мешает